Hello and welcome to Season 3, Episode 20, the finale, the much anticipated finale of Les Oderants. I am Dan and I am joined as ever by Fliss, James and Ben. Say hello for one last time this season, motherfuckers.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, well, that was lovely. So this season's been a bit of a, I think it's been a little bit hit and miss in terms of when we've been able to put out a podcast. And, for everybody who's out there sort of thinking, God, why these bastards get more organised? I mean, I think it is reasonable to say that this is not our job and we don't get paid for it. And therefore, it's a bit of a struggle fitting it in.
It's my job. I mean, not this.
It sort of is your job.
I mean,
podcasting is your job.
Busman's holiday, isn't it? This is.
Yeah, busman's holiday. Yeah, Ben is actually a professional podcaster, which is why Ben sounds great and knowledgeable, and the rest of us sound like enthusiastic amateurs.
I think Ben could do a podcast about anything. If there's any subject, I think you could just stick him in front of a microphone, and that's it, mate.
Wind him up like a plastic monkey, just wind me up, and I'll just go.
Yeah. There was a little ahem there from Fliss. I think you were offended that I classed you.
I would never be offended, but I just felt a little bit as if you'd spoken on my behalf, darling.
What? You wouldn't describe yourself as an enthusiastic amateur.
No, I would completely. I was just, okay. I was, what's the word? Oh, fuck it. I was just being, amusant.
Amusant. Excellent.
It was Le Bants.
Le Bants. Back with the Le Bants. Fun fact. Leibniz chocolate biscuits. For some reason, it is one of the many words that my wife cannot pronounce correctly, but she calls them Le Bants biscuits, even though they're Leibniz. So there you go. Hopefully she's not listening to this because she'll fucking kick the door in and start telling me, I do know how to pronounce coleslaw.
Does she know how to pronounce coleslaw?
It's like she hesitates every time. It's like she's got in her head the word cold sore and coleslaw, and she never knows which bit of which word to use correctly. So she always sort of ends up going, it's like, what?
Fudging it a little bit.
Yeah. Would you like some, what?
She should just call it sauerkraut and mayonnaise instead, just to kind of...
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Have you ever heard Benedict Cumberbatch saying, I can't even say his fucking name, Benedict Cumberbatch saying penguins. Yeah. Penguins.
Penguins.
Can't fucking say it, can he?
There's a whole YouTube video of him, but the BBC got him in to narrate a thing in Patagonia about these Patagonian penguins.
Yeah, penguins.
And he can't say it. He says it right once in a 50-minute thing. And he said nobody, because he's Benedict Cumberbatch, nobody on the team took him to one side and said, on it. Benedict, you sound fantastic, but you can't say the word penguin. It's hilarious.
I get irrationally angry about stuff like that, where people say the word like Pacific instead of specific. Like Pacific, what? One's a fucking body of water. I mean, that's ludicrous. But I remember at school, I had like an entire argument. This was pre-internet, obviously, but I had an entire argument with a classmate about the word practice, and he insisted that the word was practice, P-R-A-P. I was like, that's fucking stupid. That doesn't make any sense.
Pre-internet, but I assume it was still sort of dictionary were around.
Yeah. But we had quite an argument about it. I think in the end, the dictionary did provide the answer, but I mean, that's stuck with me for 30 years. Practice. That's an idiotic word. It's not even a word.
My best friend used to say chimbly instead of chimney.
I say chimley. I always say chimley.
What the fuck is with you idiots?
It's chimney.
But the thing is, I know it's chimney, but when I say it, it just comes out chimney. And every time I say it, I go chimney, and then I think, not chimney, chimney. But it's too late then, isn't it? So...
Do you think that's like Benedict Cumberbatch and his pengloing?
Pengloing?
No.
Okay.
Shaking his head.
I mean,
no.
it is fair to say that the Les Oderants are not always great at getting to the point at the beginning of an episode, but this time we've gone very off on a weird
apparently,
one.
I say, is it COVID or COVID? It's one or the other, and whichever one it is, I always say the other one.
I say COVID.
I think I've been saying COVID a lot, or for a long time.
COVID.
I know. I don't know why I do that. And
COVID.
COVID.
Yes, that sounds rather nice. COVID. darling, the Waynes are coming around for COVID. Do make sure to put extra butter out with the COVID.
Don't forget the coleslaw.
Yeah, fucking right. Oh, God. Right, and there we go. Well done for bringing us all the way back to coleslaw. Right, so we should talk about perfume, because that is broadly what we're here for. And I want to break with tradition here by talking about a guy who we've not mentioned on the show before, called Rich Mitch. I don't know. It's probably... who? Exactly. So Rich must have taken it rather personally when I said in a previous episode that he hadn't sent me anything for a bit. And he sent me basically a vast bag of stuff. I mean, he's, generous to a fault. So I thought I'd just pick a few of these out to describe quickly, because I haven't been through all of them because there's just too bloody many. But the first two I want to just mention are the Les Indemnidables, the Escal range. And I'm sure James had mentioned these before. There's an Escal on Haiti, which is like a Haitian vetiver, which is very nice. A little undistinguished, I would say. I mean, it's very clean and vetiver-y, but it's not particularly interesting. And then there was an Escal on Indonesia, which is I thought it was a patchouli, but it's an ambergris. And it's okay also. I feel like, and no shade to Les Indemnidables or anything, but I just feel that these are rather kind of dreary, if I'm perfectly honest with you. I just didn't think they were amazing. I don't know. Have you guys tried them, and what did you think?
I think I tried, is it the vetiver one? And I was just like, that's nicely made. That's nice materials, but it didn't make me go, ooh, I need more of this. I didn't even need
does vetiver ever do that to you?
Occasionally. I mean, there's like that sort of Terre de Hermès parfum I really like. Timbuktu I really like. I mean, it's not my favourite note, but, I know I've got the Haiti. Here it is. I've got it here. I'll have a little spray now. We can smell it together.
Smell it together. I mean, it's a sort of lovely, clean vetiver. It's a bit of a vetiver showcase without kind of really doing much else.
It's very bright to begin with on the opening. But it is literally just vetiver, isn't it? There's not much else coming at the minute. Let's leave that for a couple of minutes, see where it goes.
James, you tried them, haven't you?
Yes, I have, yeah.
Can you remember them well enough?
Yeah. I mean, they're more like cologne concentrations, aren't they, I think? Or they're still an eau de toilette, but they're lighter, more, splashy, spritzy type version. I think that was the idea of them.
Okay.
So
that
I
makes
get
sense.
that they're a bit lighter, and I think they are a bit cheaper than the main range of eau de parfums. Well, they should be, really. And you get a bigger volume. So taking that into account, I'd say, they're good, because clearly the vetiver one's got nice materials, and, well, they both have. I think the Indonesia one is pretty spectacular, to be honest. I really like that one. Yeah.
Okay.
I do like the vetiver one, but yeah, I thought they were good. Again, they're not making me go out and buy them, but I thought they were pretty good.
Ben, you tried them at all?
No, I don't know those, actually.
Okay. Well, I mean, He sent me way too many to even list. I will mention quickly two that I thought were really particularly interesting. One is called Ocean Rain, and it was apparently the last Rudnitska perfume. And I forget what the name of the brand he did it for is.
Mario Valentino.
Mario Valentino, yeah. Yeah, okay, so Mario Valentino Ocean Rain was Rudnitska's last perfume, and it's sort of... I when I wrote back to Rich about it, I said it's nice, and it's sort of brilliant, but I don't think I actually want to smell of it. It's quite... You'd expect it to be a sort of aquatic with a name like Ocean Rain, and it sort of is, but it's got like this really resinous kind of heft to it, and I don't know, it there's like a sort of weird contradiction between it being essentially a sort of seawatery type saline kind of aquatic and it being a leathery resinous perfume. It's a really weird thing, and I can sort of appreciate it for its madness, but I don't think I'd ever want to smell of it. It's very peculiar. I don't suppose any of you guys been fortunate enough to try this?
Yes, he sent me Ocean Rain as well, but I haven't tried it yet. But I will spritz it now, and then I will give you a rundown as it dries down.
I've got a very, very strong inclination that you will not appreciate it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, it feels a little bit like the forerunner of sports fragrances.
Oh, no.
To me. So that's
Rudnitska,
Ocean Rain.
And I love all of Rudnitska's stuff.
Okay, and then the other one was Cacharel Nemo, which I absolutely love it. I think it's fantastic. It smells like the 90s in a bottle. And I said, mate, I love this. And he said, nah, you're welcome to it. It's fucking shite. It's absolute crap. He hates it. I think it's stupendously good. It reminds me of stuff like DKNY Fuel and that sort of vibe. Really, really nice. I don't know how to even describe it really, other than to say it smells like, kind of generic 90s, but in a perfectly brilliant way.
I wholeheartedly agree. I think it's a kind of musky, even slightly vanillic, which is not something that I particularly like. But yeah, it has nice sort of powdery, resinous thing to it, and a little bit of spice, like your cardamom, your nutmeg, which... I think it's very good. Just really smooth and just like a pebble.
Like a pebble. I like it. Well, yeah, he says, you're welcome to it. Shite. That's what he said.
So your bottle, my bottle's like, looks like
a
Bart Simpson's, yeah. Is yours?
Yeah. No, this is... So what he sent me is what I guess is a sort of miniature bottle, which is like...
Right.
I don't know what this is, like 20 or 30 ml or something. So I guess, to get the Y-shaped, what do you call it, catapult type looking bottle, that's 100 ml one, I think. I mean, I'm immensely grateful just to have been sent this. I think it's an excellent little stinker. He also sent me a sample of Bois Noir, which I've never actually tried. And obviously, it's just fucking magnificent, and it's got that. See, I remember Egoist when I was a kid, because it was like one of the first perfumes that I really got fucking switched on to when I was maybe 15 or 16, and I'd go down to Boots, I think it was, and spray it, and it has this really, or it did at the time, have this really luminous kind of almost fruity sort of opening. and it was the opening that immediately grabbed me. And more recent stuff doesn't seem to have that. It gets straight into the dark, sort of dirtier kind of aspects of it. But this Bois Noir had that electric opening to it, which I absolutely fucking love. So for me, this was kind of ultimate nostalgia straight away. Nostalgia in a bowl, which was brilliant. So I enjoyed that. Fliss, what do you make of Ocean Rain?
I quite like it. I don't feel it's that sports fraggy at all yet. Yeah, I find it actually quite fruity, and the aquaticness of it is not that scratchy aquatic that you get with a lot of modern. It doesn't like that really dry back of the throat, like cheap ambery woods kind of scratch, and that very when they have those aquatic smells, they're very screechy, and they sort of get you right in the back of the nose. This feels very rounded, and the aquaticness of it sits within the. It's quite floral as well, isn't it? It sort of sits within the perfume.
Vibes?
Pardon?
Do you get any Pepsi vibes?
No.
Pepsi?
Like a syrupy kind of Pepsi sort of feel?
I feel like I'm getting kind of like quite a juicy, almost mango-ish smell, but that could be the cyclamen and the rose and the limes.
I think we're smelling completely different things.
I don't know if it's just because it's on the paper, but when I sprayed it, and I still get it now, I get almost like, it's almost like really condensed Pepsi. Like it's almost like the syrup. You used to be able to buy those like syrups and you would water them down. It's that sort of thing, like overly sweet, quite syrupy, slightly fruity kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm just making associations that aren't there.
It is.
I'm not getting the syrupy, fruity. I don't know. I'm confused.
It's really close to Diorella for me, and I'm just looking at Diorella is basically smells like this, but it's also got peach and melon in it, and obviously Runitska did that as well. And I just feel as if even though the notes, it doesn't have that fruitiness in the notes on Fragrantica, I think it has got those notes when you smell it. It's so Diorella-ish.
It's funny that certain pre-aquatic, revolution in the 90s or whatever, some of those like 80s ones that have an aquatic theme or whatever, but they still have that like, oh, we're still grounded in this kind of musky leather men's beers, but we're just starting to creep into a little bit of this like aquatic smell. Some of those are quite interesting. Like there's one, what is it called? It's a Guy Laroche. So it's not the famous what's the Guy Laroche one that
Dracar
Noir. It's called it's going to annoy me now. I forget what it's called. Horizon. It's called Horizon. And that is it's almost like you could be construed as it's a bit mixed up this. It doesn't know what it wants to be kind of thing. But also, if it is deliberate, it's quite a sort of unique approach. Do you know what I mean? So that's interesting that those before it became, let's make it all smell like melons and, fresh things and cologne molecule and whatever, that still existed in perfumery, but it wasn't as like prevalent and it didn't become like as fashionable.
But it also feels like the whole of this hangs together in a much more dense way. Whereas a lot of those sports frags, with those big melony, ozonic and aquatic notes, they're really diffusive, and they just sort of wah out from whoever's wearing them in this huge sillage of scratch. Whereas this, because it's so much more together and rounded, it actually feels very much more like an actual classical perfume than a sports frag.
It feels like it's the sort of like an early not mod, but like an early sort of indicator of what's to come in terms of sports fragrances. It does, so it doesn't feel like, hey, this is like fucking Polo Sport or anything like that, but it does have a sort of I guess there's something there that sort of indicates what's going to follow it. I mean, on second spraying, I actually prefer it, but I still don't think I want to wear it. I did look online on eBay, and there are some pretty reasonably priced bottles of it still around, actually. So if you do decide you love it,
it smells very much of its time to me. It feels...
When was it released? Was it an
1990? 1990.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it smells early. As well. Smells early 90s to me. It smells...
Okay, anyway, so that was my rundown of magic from the never before mentioned Rich Mitch. Ben, why don't you tell us about some perfume shizzle?
All right,
That's an official
Rich
word.
Sent me a load of stuff as well.
Oh, for God's sake, really?
Really totally out of my wheelhouse, a lot of it as well, which is fun as all hell, but it's going to keep me occupied probably for the next year, because you guys know what I'm like as well. Like I'll sniff like one perfume for like 3 days in a row and then move on to the next one. Whatever. So he sent me about 20. I literally sent him a message just saying, "Fuck me, Rich. What am I going to do with all this?" Like it's unbelievable. Loads of it's amazing, but there's two that I really wanted to talk about. But before we get to them, I'll talk about one that I sort of went back to and rediscovered this week, and sort of fell in love with, Plum Japonais.
Oh,
fucking what a perfume that is! I bought a decant of it years ago, and I sprayed it once and thought that's fucking rank, and I just forgot about it, and then that was about, I don't know, it was a long time ago, and I was repackaging all my samples and stuff the other day and into a new box. That was slightly sturdier, and I sort of saw it and I thought, fuck me, I didn't know I bought that, and I was like, oh, brilliant, and I got it out, and yeah, what a corker, man, what a great perfume.
I think it's magic.
Funnily enough, the reason I think I wasn't that fussed about rediscovering it or refining it, because I read a lot about how Bodicea, the king, is quite similar, which I have.
It is.
And it is similar, but it's a different thing entirely in many respects. Like Bodicea, the king, is much spicier, much denser, whereas Plum Japonais has got a much fruitier, more kind of like jovial, light-hearted vibe to it than the king. And then there's obviously Femininity du Bois as well, but that is different in itself as well. Like that's much even more lighter, much more sort of skin creamy kind of thing. It's soapy, isn't it? Whereas like Plum Japonais is it's somewhere in the middle between the king and Femininity du Bois, I think.
I think they've got a few that are like Plum Japonais, to be honest. I think it's
really
a theme with them, because I've got one called Glorious that only Bodicea that I own, and it's very similar to Plum Japonais. It's not as good, I don't think. It's not as good, but it's kind of along the same lines.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't want to fucking diss Bodicea too hard, because actually one of their perfumes would actually appear in my selection for the second part of this show. But I think it is fair to say a lot of their stuff is highly derivative, if not directly cloned. They do have some genuinely original stuff, but
they've got some
I would say
knockouts, as you say. Like I recall, like the Blue Sapphire, some of those ones that are named after like London streets or something. Some of those are
Mayfair and Park Lane.
Incredible, yeah, it's so good. But I just hate the brand. So
fair enough. No, fair enough. Okay, so Plum Japonais you enjoyed a lot.
Yeah, that was really nice. That's been the one I've been obsessing over. Like I've been wearing that for like a week now.
and you like a plum note as well, don't you?
I do, yeah. Which is, I think, probably why I got the decant in the first place, is because I was drawn to the idea of the plum note and all that. And then I don't know why I just sort of, I mean, we just move on sometimes, don't we? It just doesn't hit the right time or something, and you just chuck it away and you forget all about it. And so I always had it in my mind, like when people talked about it, like I know Dan's talked about it before, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it's nice, whatever. But no, I kind of got it back out, and I was like, yeah, this is actually really good, man. It's really good. It sits in a quite unique space, I think, where it walks a balancing act between sort of the heaviness of the plum, which, because plum notes are often quite dense and thick and sort of like syrupy and spicy and things like that. But it sits a nice tightrope between that and light and sort of airy. And
I like how you captured the sort of dismissiveness of stuff that Dan likes. When you go, oh no, there's stuff that fucking Dan likes. So
no. I just mean like Dan spoke about it before, and I was always
I was feeling it. Oh, I was like, yeah, I get it.
yeah, relatable. I mean, I think Tom Ford's private blend line. There are some absolute fucking stunners. Most of the best ones are sadly discontinued for reasons I cannot really understand. But particular ones like Plum Japonaise, Japon Noir, and Moss Breches, just fucking so good it actually hurts to fucking think about them sometimes. That's how good they are.
But they're all the early stuff, aren't they? They're all the stuff when what's his face was still at Tom Ford.
Tom Ford. When Tom Ford was still at Tom Ford.
Tom Ford. And it just feels like, for me especially, that line has gone considerably downhill. There was a time when I would have just happily had every single thing, whereas now I think a lot of it's just, it feels more and more designery with every release to me.
I think creatively it came along after the sort of boom of stuff that, you know, we sort of love, you know, your Serge Lutens, your L'Artisan and stuff like that. And in actual fact, when you look back on it now, it's like when you kind of like say, you know, music from a certain era was shit, and then you look back at it and go, oh, actually, no, that was like, you know, a relatable time or what, I don't know. But you know what I mean? Like you look back at those, not that I didn't like them at the time, but you look back with them even more fondly, especially the discontinued ones, because you go, oh, actually, they were doing something like really quite cool. Like the elegance, and it's only because I know this formula was simple. I would have never guessed that it was so simple. The one that Christophe Laudemiel did, the Amber Absolute.
Amber Absolute.
I mean, that's an absolutely iconic fragrance and just an iconic formula for people to go, wow, look what you can do with like nothing, basically. And you can create something so like characterful and that was really kind of the thing that people went, that's opulent, that's what we want to reproduce in our designer lines. So yeah, all those Amber Accords sort of came, not all of them, but you know what I mean, like somewhat that was responsible for really pushing it into a more mainstream thing. If that's what you want to call Tom Ford. I mean, it definitely is now. It wasn't so much at the time, but even still, people in the know, people who knew about fashion or makeup or whatever, knew that Tom Ford was like good shit, you know.
Yeah.
Good shit. Yeah, and good shit it was. Okay, Ben, Plum Japonaise. What else do you want to talk about then from the Rich Mitch catalogue?
Yeah, so two from the Rich Mitch catalogue that I thought were just. I mean, one of them was just like this one was just so unbelievable. Like it was just. Even now, it's just unreal. It almost brought tears to my eyes. It was so fucking good. The original, apparently. So I didn't even know also that this has been reformulated twice. Bois d'Argent, but this is the 2004 original.
Tom
Dior,
Ford.
There's his Dior.
Dior, sorry.
Yeah, but fuck me, this is unreal. Did he? I don't know if he sent it to you guys.
No,
I think I might have.
Got this like dusty juniper and iris thing that just it smells like old books. But you know when people say like, "Oh, this perfume smells like libraries or an old book," it doesn't. They don't ever. This genuinely does.
This actually does.
Yeah, it texturally everything. It smells just like an old book. It's fucking unbelievable. It's so fucking good. It was the thing that immediately I smelled it. I thought I need to go and buy this now. Like, and then I saw the price for it and went, maybe not. But
yeah. How much is the version of 2016?
I think that the bigger challenge is actually getting the right bottle because it's been reformulated twice. So people are asking for a lot of money for vintage ones that are still not actually the right bottle anyway. I did see one that was about 700 quid that looked like it might be the right bottle. But yeah, that's like silly prices. And it was like coming from like some country, I don't know where if it even exists. So, you know, it's not worth it. But fucking hell, man, it's so good. It's this like, basically it's exactly that. There's more to it. There's a lot of like aromatic greenness going on, but really right in the center is this like dusty iris and a sort of juniper, which is, can be quite dusty as well. And you put those two together and you get that sort of like light, effusive iris and this kind of like nice sort of like happy juniper that doesn't sort of drag the iris into any sort of gothic area or anything like that. It keeps it like definitely bright on that side of things. But yeah, it essentially just smells like a mildewy old book, and it's just fucking brilliant. It's really, really good. The minute I smelled it, I just fell in love and was like, I need to go and buy this. Like, it will 100%. I'll be buying it as soon as I can. Not for like £700, but I mean, even if I can just get like a small bottle of it, like a decant or whatever, I'll be, because it was just fucking unreal. It was really, really good.
Nice.
Yeah. But since you guys haven't got that, let's move
well,
on.
I haven't got that one, but I have obviously tried Bois d'Argent multiple times. I very much like it. And when I was at the Dior boutique in Paris, I don't know, last year or the year before, they told me that is their number one bestseller, Bois d'Argent, by a country mile, they said. Anyway, James, you were going to come in on that.
Well, no, I was just going to say I have got an original formula little sample still, because they used to give away these little like 8ml or something, or like 5ml or something, like a little bottle. And I got
splash bottle.
Yeah, I got
7.5ml.
Yeah, and it is spectacular. I mean, it's really good. I think I've tried recent formula and thought, it's not bad. It's not quite the same, but it's not bad. And I think that's one of those, speaking of like elegant formulas, that for some reason just capture people's love, imagination, whatever. And it's not surprising that it's like the French. It's very sort of chic. It's a lovely fragrance. And like I say, I treasure that little bottle, but I don't really. Occasionally I've put it on and gone, yeah, that's an amazing perfume, and then thought, shall I buy a recent one? It's been reformulated again by Francis Kirkshan, hasn't it, for the latest line. I mean, enough said about him. But yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, well, what else have you got on your list?
Well, so the last one then, that's for this week, because I guess I said there's a whole ton more stuff that I'm going to be tucking into, but this one that I smelled, and immediately I thought, this is brilliant, and I wore it yesterday, and I thought it was great, but also I thought the Odes will love this, and Fliss especially will love this. It was Crisia Tetro alla Scala.
Oh, I've got...
Spray it. You'll fucking love it. If you haven't sprayed it yet, you will die. It basically, think theophenol, right? But then chuck in a shed ton of like animalic beeswax underneath. And it's more or less, it's very classical Chypre kind of vibes, but with this like super animalic kind of beeswaxy sort of vibe to it. It's really good. And
I don't appear to have that one.
I think Fliss, you'll love it.
The sound of spraying by Fliss.
That was multiples.
Oh, hang
on. We don't fuck around. Hang on. Fliss is having a moment.
Just wafting
She's
my
having
arm.
a kumquat.
I'm having a kumquat.
So this was another one that I sprayed it immediately and was like, okay, I'm going on eBay and seeing how much this is. I would like to buy this.
Oh, God, that's good. It's really thick and unctuous. It's like kind of almost like Diaghilev-y, fur heavy. Yeah, if like Diaghilev and theophenol scent had a baby, well, if they had sex in an opera house first, it's really,
I'm listening.
But there's a really heavy woodiness to it, a resinous heavy wood. And
there tends to be when people are having sex.
Yeah.
Hey!
Sound like you. Oh, look.
Ooh, dick jokes. Yeah, dick jokes. Woo!
Oh, it's lovely.
Sorry.
It's fantastic.
It's good,
but it's
it?
got a little, it's just coming through slightly brighter top now, almost slightly citrusy, almost, but not Not like bright in a bright way, but just to lift it a bit as it's drying down.
I just spilled it all over my shorts, so I'm going to be smelling it for weeks.
Oh, you're going to smell amazing for ages. Really thick and heavy and just, yeah. It's bang up my street.
The double entendres just sort of, there's too many wrestling to get to the front of my head. It's like there's like a log jam of fucking double entendres and none of them. Yeah. Well, anyway,
yeah,
right.
I recommend that one. Anyway, I thought it was fucking brilliant. To say,
okay, so give us the name of that one again, because I feel confident there'll be someone writing in to say, what was the name of that? So
yeah, no, I didn't pronounce it even remotely right, I should imagine. But the brand is Krizia, which is Krizia.
Yeah.
And then the actual perfume is, oh God, here we go, Teatro alla Scala.
Teatro alla Scala.
Yeah, something like that.
It's the Scala Theatre it's in Italy. La Scala.
Ah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Teatro alla Scala. Something like that.
Better, something like that, yeah.
This is brilliant.
That's how I love Italian. No, seriously. I actually think Italian would be not easy to learn, but do you know what I mean? Like, you just do with that the voice, and that's like just, you know.
I love the Italian accent so much. There was a couple of guys in the gym changing room talking in Italian to each other, and it didn't matter what they were saying, but it's also fucking cool, you know. Just everything is like so fucking like expressive. Fantastic. Anyway, yeah, I don't normally just sit around listening to guys in the gym changing.
Why is this guy looking at my dick?
Sorry, mate, I just really like your accent.
Oh God, no. Yeah. Anyway, good. Well, that concludes Ben's section. James, how do you feel about telling us something perfumey?
Well, I've made an effort because I'm not doing the 14 anymore, so I'm making an effort to try new things.
Someone did say on Facebook we should bring it back, and I was like, "Fuck you." So
it's a bit soon for that. I think. You
have to wait. You have to leave it a season at least.
Yeah, you need to pump my ego up a bit more. So while we're away, just keep sending me stuff going, oh, we really want the full 14. I'll be like, you can wait. Whenever Daddy's ready to drop it.
God. Oh no. Now I feel vaguely ill, but good. Go on. Tell us something good.
So I'm going to mention this one first because I don't think it's going to go down very well with you guys. Has anyone tried the new-ish Marc-Antoine Barrois called Tilia?
Yes,
I have.
Tilia.
Yes.
Thoughts?
She hated it. Fliss hated it, didn't you?
I pretty much, I thought it was awful. Let me look on the old spreadsheet.
It's got that sort of honeysuckly, sort of quite sweet floral thing going on, and that sort of drifts away, and then you're just twatted in the face by kind of Ganymede / fucking any other biche perfume of the last 3 years pretty well. I mean,
it's just I've got here awful headache-inducing aroma chem hell. My husband said it smelled like I smelled like a swimming pool in that acrid chemical feel. And it just felt like I was just being bludgeoned by aroma chemicals.
So not a positive review from you?
No. It felt like it was like just burning my nose, and there was nothing exquisite or delightful or light of hand or light of touch. It was just bludgeoning me.
Does exquisite, does he? He does.
No, but I like things to be exquisite. Yeah, he was just sledgehammered over the head with some aroma chemicals. But hated it. You
Where
loved
do you
it,
come
didn't
down
you?
on this, James? I bet you loved it.
My first word in my written review that I haven't posted anywhere yet was wow.
Was that a good wow or a bad wow?
A high impact solar floral perfume, a kind of futuristic white yellow floral. I'm not going to read it all out, but it's very bombastic. It's very biche. it's very driven by aroma chemicals, which is fine by me. What I liked about it is that I've been banging on about the lime blossom for a while. And
Yes.
you're right, it does have a honeysuckle thing to it. And I just thought it's so like full of joy that I'm quite happy for it to be like driven quite hard and in his usual style, because it's supposed to be this, waxy floral thing, and he still managed to inject that like craziness into it. So I really liked it. I wore it 3 times, I think, in the last week.
Wow.
I mean, when I say how much I hate it, I know for a fact how much love it gets on the groups. It's like a huge hype beast. So, it's just my style. And I just know that Biche is not my style. He is incredibly popular, but just not me.
I mean, yeah, his popularity is such that I didn't really want to do the news section, but there's an obvious segue there. And there's an obvious segue that Biche is apparently off to Hermes.
He definitely is. We covered it last episode as a rumour, but it's hit the papers, so it's true now.
It's now confirmed. Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's kind of okay, but he can't just keep fucking doing Ganymede and variations thereof at Hermes, surely. It's going to have to be. He's going to have to bring something different.
At all. I just think that Hermes is so understated and classy that
there's nothing understated about Tilia. Can we agree that much?
Yeah. I'm sure he'll do he'll whack out some heavy hitters, but I just feel as if he's not the target audience for current Hermes customers. But I could be absolutely wrong. We'll find out, won't we?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'm slightly surprised how much you liked it, James. But
I just thought I like the theme. And I like the idea of that. I'm not against any of the Barwars. I haven't tried them for a while. And I remember them annoying me a little bit. Like at first I was like, wow, this is amazing and whatever. Technical, modern sort of perfume. But then it starts to give you a bit of a headache and stuff, and I can get how this might do, but it just didn't. It was just glorious.
Like
and
24 hours later, it's like
kept saying you smell great today, and I was like, thanks, cheers.
Yeah,
so
fucking right, you mug.
Compliment beast.
The compliment beast. Oh, you can put that in your top 10 compliment beast videos.
Compliment beast. Right.
Hey!
Okay. So, and then I wore Le Gallion. So, do you know this brand, Le Gallion? They're quite
I've tried a couple of them.
Yeah.
There's one I know that smells a lot, very Kurosy.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Sange Bleu or something.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
Sange. I don't know whether that's, or maybe it's just San. It's either Sang or Songe or something.
Oh,
but
okay.
Songe Bleu. And that I remember being like a very fancy schmancy riff on Kuros.
Yeah, very good. This is called Essence of Something. I've written here.
Essence of Something. It's a very specific name.
Let me find it.
What should we call this perfume? Let's call it Essence of Something.
Boom, on the bottle.
Yeah. Oh, well, as long as you put Eau Forte at the end, apparently that's okay.
Oh, it's called Essence Noble or Essence Noble.
Essence Noble.
Noble.
Is it an incense?
Noble. No, not particularly. Okay, so the notes here, it says are leather, styrax, moss, sage, lemon, galbanum, patchouli, neroli, cedar. I would say, yeah, it's kind of in the mold of a sort of aromatic, herbal, mossy men's, like an Eau Sauvage type thing. It's not Eau Sauvage. It's clearly a kind of niche sort of version of it with a little bit of like resinous kind of fizz and just loveliness is really good, really good. So I've tried some samples that I've been really quite happy with. It's not reinventing the wheel or anything, but classy brand, classy fragrance, really quite good. It doesn't have the same like floral mid. It's not like to compare it to Eau Sauvage and then say, oh well, it's actually not like Eau Sauvage. If you like that perfume and you like that sort of vibe, you'll like this. But they are quite different if you compared them side by side. But similar sort of thing, kind of citrusy and moss and whatever. Then
should I just say that it's interesting. I'm just looking at it. It's the nose. Marie Duchesne did one of the ones that I'm going to talk about today as well.
Oh,
so
really?
I didn't really know her stuff at all.
Marie Duchesne
rings a bell, but
so she's done loads of Le Gallion, and then also Place de Lys, that I know that goes down very well on Insta. Maybe why don't I know her? Laboratoire Olfativo, she does a lot of.
You can't know everyone, Fliss.
No, I know, but it's just interesting that twice in this week I've just gone, had a little connection and gone, I didn't know that.
Oh, she's done quite a few of those noble...
Perhaps you're going to be best friends. It's like a sign.
You never know.
You never know.
Uncle Bertie would be sad to lose me, though.
He would. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So I'll just talk about two more and then we're done. So this one, I said to Rich Mitch, because I've been throwing these at Rich Mitch because I know he doesn't really tend to try sort of new samples. He'll be like trying a lot of like vintage shit and old stuff and that. I know he does try a lot of new stuff as well, but some of these were a bit obscure and I thought I'll say, oh, I'm wearing this shit today. Have you ever heard of this? And he'd just be like, no. Or like, yeah, whatever.
It'll either be like yeah or no or one of those options. Yeah.
Or that's outrageous. He'd probably say that. But anyway, no. So this is by a brand called 1908, and it's called Fanta Morgana. Does anyone know what Fanta Morgana is?
Fanta Morgana?
Yeah, what it means. I only know because of like watching crazy conspiracy theory fucking videos and stuff. It's an Italian word. I think it's an Italian word for I think they call it like a superior mirage. It's a very specific conditions that happen over a body of water, so it could be over the sea or whatever, and where you see a kind of a projection of the horizon, so things that are impossibly behind the curve of the earth that you can't see actually become visible because of this strange, it's very rare conditions.
That's why that's when people could sailors used to say they could see another ship and they'd sail towards it and it wasn't there.
Fanta Morgana, that's what it is.
That was what it was.
So basically, and also it can project the image upside down as well. So sometimes, like, there's a famous picture of, like, I think it's in China, and it's all the buildings of some, financial district or industrial place or whatever, and it's actually, the image is actually flipped the other way, so it looks like the buildings are floating in the sky, and that's, like, a real phenomenon, but it takes the right, relative humidity and the exact conditions have got to be right. It's got to have cool air and warm air in certain places and blah, 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 for this Fanta Morgana to happen. Anyway, so Fanta Morgana by 1908. So at first I was like, I'm already suckered in by the name. And it was fantastic, I have to say. A brilliant perfume again. I mean, I got these from, we keep shouting them out. They should really fucking sponsor us. Shy Mimosa in Bristol, who I know Ben got some samples the other week.
Hang on, someone is going to complain that we're shilling. They don't sponsor us. Well, you heard it from Fliss.
Well, no, they could sponsor us to send us some samples so that we can give our honest opinions on them and other people can feel the benefit. But
for the avoidance of doubt, they don't and haven't. So.
No, they don't and haven't. But I wouldn't be opposed to them doing that because no, not from any. There's no monetary gain for me to get samples. Rich Mitch sends us samples. We send each other samples. we get free, I get free samples. Like fucking, some people just send me shit. I don't need the samples, right? But it would be kind of useful, and it's good for them if you did do that. Not that we're doing it or we ever have or whatever, but I'm just saying. We're shouting somebody out, so we might as well fucking get something out of it.
Sort of just as an aside, but I've always thought, like, actually the community is always really generous, and like everyone is always sending samples to each other, and that's something I always really liked about, like, when I found like fragrance community, if you like that everyone is just like, here, have samples of this shit. Yeah.
I can't wait for you to be like, some people don't care if you give, your opinion and it differs to theirs or whatever. They just want to know what you think about it. And also, if they think, I know that they're going to like that, and then they do, it gives them a little sense of satisfaction, doesn't it? And you go,
it's just nice to share stuff, isn't it?
It's lovely to share, but the satisfaction of somebody saying, oh, I need to know some good roses, or I need to try something new, and making a little pack up for them, and then them writing back or whatever and saying, I bloody love this one. The satisfaction is huge. Well, that's my doper hit there.
It's a little bit like the old mixtapes, isn't it? Where, when you make a mixtape, they don't make mixtapes anymore, but when you made a mixtape and someone said they loved it, then it was like, I know you. I understand you and your tastes, and this is the stuff that I think you'll like, that I also like. Yeah. And it's the same with sending samples out. And when you hit, there is that little dopamine rush of, I correctly understood their personality and what they wanted.
Well, see, this is like a really good insight into like how sort of like selfless Dan is. So when I made a mixtape to people and they said they loved it, I just went, well, yeah, because my music tastes fucking brilliant. Of course you would.
The arbiter agrees with that. I'm pleased to say. No, but I think it comes down to something even more fundamental, which is that me personally, and I think I believe most people would say this, I think the majority of people would say that you get much more satisfaction from giving a gift than receiving one. It's a much nicer thing. And it's something that you decide to do, so you get a sense of satisfaction from it. So it's almost kind of a selfish thing, because you get that little hit of something, but you've given somebody else something, and I think,
but that's life, isn't it? Like, I mean, we're getting well off topic now, but I mean, when I used to do care work, people always used to say to me like, "Oh, I don't know, you can do that. It's so care," and I used to think, it's nothing to do with that. I do it to make myself feel better. I leave that shift and think, oh, I wiped asses, that was grim, but now I can be a cunt for the next week, and it's all right.
Well, no, who cares what the motive is if some good is happening? Exactly, I know not always, some terrible things happen with that justification, but do you know what I mean? Like, as long as some good is happening and you're getting something out of it, then, fine. Like, I'm not opposed to that, because you do have to get something back from it and feel good about yourself and be like, oh, I'm a good person. Because I think that's fine. That's a fine transaction for me. Anyway, sorry, Phantom Organa. So it smells basically, I sort of said, kind of leathery, but a bit green. It's kind of yellow ochre-y. It's got a bit of galbanum in it. It's kind of figgy at one point, but it genuinely just smells like Dior June, the original female one, and the thingy one. So it's very odd, and it doesn't quite have as intense like sandalwood aspect to it, but it basically smells like June, but a kind of niche, modern, maybe slightly simplified version. But I love June. I love the women's June. I think it's brilliant, and I only just really, not discovered it because I've been aware of it for a long time, but it almost brought me back to I remember loads of women wearing it in the 90s or late 80s or whenever it came out, and just being like, this was a really familiar smell that was everywhere, but it's actually really strange. And I've never read those books. I did start reading the June books, But I just kind of got like, nah, I prefer like non-fiction stuff. I just couldn't, but I appreciate that they're good books. But I still get the kind of mental, that I feel, the sort of imagery and everything from that in that perfume. I know it's called June, and I don't know if it is more of a reference to that rather than just sand dunes in general or whatever the theme was. But I get that there's this kind of weird, almost like sci-fi strangeness to it, and this captures some of that. And I think, wow, why isn't there more perfumes along that line? Because it's a really fantastic perfume. So I love that, Phantom Morgana. One more. I've put, actually, Dan would love this because it's really fucking expensive. And blah, 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 but it's actually not.
I'm that predictable.
I actually looked, I thought you'd like the bottle because it's an elegant kind of, almost looks like those really straight Guerlain bottles, like the ones that Boissons d'été and all those were kind of in, that sort of like just a rectangle basically, but it has Art Deco writing on it, so it's like very 1920s. They're called Sherigan. Have you ever heard of a brand called Shenigan? No, Shenigan.
No. Shenigan? There once was a man named Michael Shenigan.
Okay. It's called Purple Bar, the fragrance that I tried.
Purple Bar?
Purple Bar by Sherigan. So it is actually called Sherigan. And they are Parfums d'Artisan Paris 1929. So apparently, whether they just call themselves 1929 or they've been around since 1929, they only seem to have launched these perfumes in 2021, but there you go.
Like Creed.
So Purple Bar is very odd. It's not very purple. It's kind of cloves and cinnamon. Funny, Ben was talking about Coke before, so it has a kind of slightly cola-ish vibe to it. But something just linking to that from the last few weeks. Have you ever been to that? It's like a chain of Indian street food restaurants called Mowgli. Again, we're not fucking shilling for them. Have you ever heard of Mowgli? I'd never been in one. I just noticed they had these like swinging chairs that were on like ropes.
Yeah.
Well, it's fucking cool in there. But unfortunately, Jenny doesn't like coriander, so she doesn't curry at all because coriander's in everything. So we never got to go for a curry. But she said the other day, "Oh fuck it, I'll go in there. It's all right. I'll just put up with the coriander. So thanks, Jenny." So we went in there, and it was spectacularly good. To be fair, it was amazing. But I had this drink, and it was a mocktail, and it was called a something cola, but it didn't have any cola in it, and it didn't have any. It was made up of things that just made it cola-ish. So it had this slight, almost like medicinally, starry, cinnamony type effect to it. It was amazing. I think it might have had cardamom in it or something as well. I was like, whoa, this is like. It weirdly sort of does taste of Coke, but it's not. And it was really classy and just when like you bring, especially in perfumery, you can bring like 3 or 4 things together and they'll create the same accord, but with like different things. That can happen. Anyway, so this has got a sort of fruity, like candied fruits, but it also smells like banana flumps. So there's like banana flump sweets, which I would go, fuck off with that. I hate banana things. Reminds me of like that horrible, like when you're a kid and you have antibiotics and they have that horrible banana. Yeah. Oh, disgusting. But this, I found it so endearing and so like, it's weirdly floral, vanillic, and it had this Coke like spices thing, very complex, loads of like banana-y, sort of almost jasmine. So I was like going, is it jasmine? I don't know. This very weird. But I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Bizarre perfume to love, because I was going around going, I just smell like banana flumps and that weird Coke that I had at Mowgli the other week. But I'm loving this. I'm absolutely loving it. So, and it smells quality as well. I actually thought, they're like, Dan territory, fucking £500 or something, but they're actually not. They're actually really quite reasonably priced for 100 ml, I think. So they're like about 150 quid. So I was like,
I was just looking. They don't seem crazy expensive.
No, they're not. I just had it in my head that they were. but they're not. So
Yeah, nice.
good.
I shall have to check out. Sheringham. Well, I'm trying not to spend any money at the moment, so I've managed to successfully avoid buying any perfume for 2.5 weeks.
No way.
I thought it was going to be in hours, to be honest. I thought you were going to say
no
6 hours.
3rd of July, which was about the point where I realised I was imminently going to lose my job. So that at that point, I thought, I should probably stop fucking wasting money on takeaways and perfume, which, in fairness, is where most of my disposable income goes. But I did.
That 2.5 weeks is great, though. Well done.
It's well done, me, isn't it? Yeah.
It really is.
I did complete my Parisians collection, though. I managed to get the outstanding bottle, from the wooden Guerlain Parisians. It's Lame des Eros or something. It's basically a retread of the one that was in the sort of little bell jar one, sort of slightly metallic-y. I forget what it's even called. Same name as a play.
Come on, Fliss, a play. You used to be in
a
plays.
play.
Come on, a play. Just the name of a play. Come on.
Any play. Any play.
I was going to say, just name all of the plays.
Just name the plays. It's not the Scottish
Name the
one.
plays.
It's a retread of Coriolan, which was not the name of the play. Coriolanus was the play. But there you go. So anyway, I finally completed that collection, and that's what I bought. I think,
which, to be fair, is a fairly
3rd of July.
sort of, what's the word? I mean, if someone said to me, just name all the plays,
name a play,
and they're Shakespeare's, even Coriolanus would probably come quite low on my list of. I have to get through quite a lot before I got to that one.
Sorry. I don't care. Oh, fuck you. I don't care. I just don't give a shit. I don't even like the perfume that much, but I just wanted to complete the fucking collection.
I mean, it's not the best play either, to be fair.
Well,
maybe that's
watched
why they do the
TV.
perfume. Maybe they thought it's not a great play. Let's just knock out something half-assed.
Yeah.
I watched a film adaptation of it. And it had someone famous in. Come on, name the famous person. Okay, so it was Rafe Fiennes. Ralphie.
It's very earnest, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching it. I don't really remember it, and I'll take your word for it that Coriolanus is in fact lesser Shakespeare. Okay, so my exhaustive knowledge of Shakespearean plays and Guerlain perfumes notwithstanding, shall we move on to Fliss?
Oh.
Yes, you have to speak. It's a podcast. It's a sort of
It's been a fantastic part one so far. Can I just say? I think this is a good part one.
This is really good. We're just getting into our stride as we finish our season.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, I mean, maybe we're just excited by the anticipation of having a few weeks off. Although we've had multiple weeks off in the middle of the seasons anyway. I mean, just fucking
more weeks off than on.
We took last week off to watch the fucking football, which was a disappointment. Yeah, depressing. Anyway,
bless you, poor little bubbers.
Yeah, go on, Fliss. Tell us something good about perfume.
Rich Mitch sent me.
This is just like the Rich Mitch podcast.
If we're shilling for anybody, it's Rich Mitch. That's what I would say.
What he does, right, is he figures out what he wants to sell and he sends us all samples of them and then he bangs them up on eBay for like twice the price.
No,
talking of that, though, have you seen the new prices for fucking Paul Smith Rose?
Yeah.
You've done it there, haven't you, Fliss?
It's gone from
You've influenced the prices.
$12.99 to $19.99 it used to be, depending on the size of the bottle. Cheapest used one I could find, 70 quid. And some of the ones in boxes are going for 124.
Fuck's sake, I've probably got half a bottle in the cupboard you can have.
I'd love it. It's too late to get it back up now.
Well, I shall ask Her Majesty if she cares enough about it.
Yeah. yeah, anyway, Rich Mitch sent me the new Les Indemnisables Orange Sirocco.
Oh, yeah. You sent me that as well.
What did you think of it?
Well, I thought it was a bit shit. So...
Yeah.
Why is that funny?
I don't know. It was nicely deadpan and on the nose. Yeah.
Well, I did think it was a bit of shit, and I'll tell you exactly why. It to me seemed like like they'd done a retread of Chypre Azural, which was one of the very few that was not by Antoine Lai. Lai. Is it Lee? I can't remember. Doesn't matter. Antoine. And it was like, oh yeah, we should probably have that redone by Antoine. So he redid it, and it's got that same sort of orangey gingery thing, and just so much cinnamon that it's like have you seen those stupid videos of morons trying to eat a teaspoon of cinnamon powder? And it's a bit like that. That was the sort of experience. It sort of, the cinnamon was so kind of powdery and kind of all-consuming that it almost felt like my sort of senses were shutting down. I thought it was a bit crap, if I'm honest. So, and that's why I didn't mention it.
I
loved it.
No, I didn't either. I mean, I think you can tell that the materials are quality. I know that sounds like a really strange thing to say, but you can. It feels thick and unctuous and of quality. But the ratio to cinnamon to orange is just off the wall.
It's all wrong, isn't it?
It's all wrong. I found it actually very thick and a bit cloying, and it lay so close to my skin that it didn't lift at all in any way. And I've worn it 3 different days now. And I really wanted to love it. I wanted it to be a big bubble of Neroli sunshine, good quality Neroli sunshine, because that's what I was expecting from Les Indemnisables, just a big quality Neroli, and it's just not that. And it made me a bit sad because I really wanted to love it. And so, yeah, that was a bit meh.
It's got like this weird creaminess under it as well, like creamy milkiness almost, and it's just a bit gaggy with that and the orange. It just doesn't work. It's
cloying is what I think it
very
is.
cloying.
I find it cloying,
I just couldn't get past the cinnamon. The orange was sort of terribly fleeting, and it just ended up being all cinnamon all the time in a sort of rather unpleasant, uncouth sort of way. There's no it hath no couth. Do you know what? Yeah, it was a bit vulgar, which is like not really Antoine Lee's kind of vibe at all.
No.
But I thought it was, and basically I didn't enjoy it. And I think if you want the remix of that's actually good, just stick with Chypre Azural, which is a fucking brilliant perfume from the same range. I don't know why they bothered with this. It's like the shit cousin of... It's like the bucktooth fucking inbred cousin of... Sorry, I'm putting the boot in a bit now.
You really are.
Okay, it's just not as good as Chypre Azural. It's. I'm sure it's a perfectly adequate perfume, but I didn't enjoy it. And
it's bucktooth and inbred. And
it is bucktooth. It is a bit of a cunt, and probably it should have been killed in utero, if I'm honest. So there you go.
I thought it was all right.
All
that
right.
Is it. That's all I've got to say. I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was great. I agree that Chypre Azural, they already, that's the orange blossom one, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
they already got one. As far as I'm concerned,
they already got one. What's the point in doing this? I honestly thought, this is like them remixing Chypre Azural just so they can make sure Antoine's name is on all the range, because it was like an outlier. Chypre Azural, it's like the one that he didn't do.
Right.
So maybe they've discontinued that and replaced it with Orange Sirocco or whatever it's called. But I don't see the point. I mean, it's like it's just not as good as Chypre Azural.
Shame.
Okay. Well, tell us something good rather than something that's shit. Because although we do enjoy beating on stuff,
we do. I broke my no buy, and bought a couple of things. And one of the things I bought was a bundle of partials, and in the partials was one that I'd never heard of before, called Last Canto by Ideo perfumes, IDEO, all in capital letters.
Ideo.
And it is fucking delicious. It's really gorgeous, powdery floral musk. But it smells very, very creamy. It's almost like a Nivea feeling, but just beefed out. You know, that kind of rosy Nivea cold creamy feeling.
I don't think there's enough beef in perfumery, really.
No, there should be more. Definitely.
I quite like the concept of beef-smelling fragrances.
Christopher Brosius does one.
Drink.
Christopher Brosius does one that smells like Sunday lunch, doesn't he? Yeah. So maybe that's the one for you.
Maybe. Probably not.
Can you imagine that on a hot summer's day? Oh.
Ooh, smells like gravy. Oh, it reeks sexy, that. Fucking no. It's like, my brother's a Yorkshireman. He'd fucking love that. Oh, you smell like gravy. Anyway. So I'm looking up.
So it smells to me very, very rosy, Nivea, creamy feeling. There's like almonds and frangipani, and it's all lovely and girly and soft. But then there's a musk and a skank in the bottom of it that just makes it really, really good and not shit and girly. And I really liked it, and I've been wearing it. I must have worn it almost half the days since we last recorded, since I got it.
Wow.
It's really surprised me, really surprised me. And I'm curious now about the rest of the range, because this is the one by the Marie Duchesne, who did Yeah. So I'm wondering about her stuff.
The Galleon one. Marie Duchesne, in fact, has 89 perfumes on Fragrantica, which must be, I mean, that must be one of the largest number of perfumes for a perfumer I've never heard of before. Mad, isn't it? I mean, in fairness, a lot of them are for fucking brands I've never heard of. ASMR fragrances. Actually, that sounds annoying. Fucking
that sounds awful, doesn't it?
ASMR is basically, and I'm sorry if this offends anyone who's into an ASMR, but ASMR is basically for cunts. I mean, it's just absolute.
It's for perverts. I would go that far.
It's for fucking weirdos, perverts.
It depends what you mean by ASMR, though.
You know, people tapping.
It's not just. Yeah, but it's not just that,
stupid
though, is it?
fucking noises. Oh, it's so punchable.
I've never had this meridian response that it's supposed to be, where you get all tingly.
At the top of your head or something. No. The main response I get is like rage. I hear the rage response. I'm not sure that's good.
I never understand the clicking of spit in someone's mouth while they're speaking.
No.
Even if it's like an attractive female, because let's face it, that's usually what they are. Oh yes, like talking to the mic. It's like, I couldn't think of anything. Honestly, couldn't think of anything worse. I think it's weird.
There's
Somebody told me that I should do ASMR reviews, and I would make a lot of money.
Please don't. Please don't fucking do it.
There'd be so many sad, fragrance ads wanking to that shit.
Oh, God, no.
God. You've ruined it.
Isn't there a big difference between being all like, seductive and sultry voiced and being all like, yeah, this smells well nice.
Oh, God. I watched a video by that Monica Hock or whatever she's called. I think that's her name. She has to be one of the most just repellent creatures on earth. Like just pure fucking colonization of fragrance for, career furthering and nothing more. She's just an obnoxious person. But for some reason,
she's got about 10,000 videos, and they're all pretty much the same. They're all the same theme.
Top fucking 10 men's perfumes that would make women throw themselves at you, called Bleu de Chanel. I mean, they're basically just, it's like fucking bottom of the barrel shit. But she did an ASMR video, or series of videos perhaps, but
her voice just sounds like that anyway, doesn't it?
Oh, you know God, it is so really grating. Just like fucking, please, I want to fucking die. Make it stop. It's like fucking Clockwork Orange, where he's got his eyes kind of held open and he's forced to watch it. That's how I was forced to listen to that awful shit. Anyway, sorry, I think we digressed a little bit there, but yeah, ASMR.
That's okay.
At some point.
That's okay. So basically, it's very creamy and vanilla-y and florally and heliotropy and lovely, but then it's got some cumin and sweaty shit in the base, and I love it.
Oh,
I love it. Love it.
Big fan of the sweaty shit.
The sweaty shit in the base. Then I also, in this bundle of partials, was Limon Verde by Guerlain, which is one of their Aqua Allegoria line.
Oh, yeah.
And it's pretty much exactly what it does. It says sort of on the tin, it's a green lemon. It's just really, it's phenomenal.
Isn't that a lime? I mean, isn't a green lemon a lime?
Maybe. Well,
more or less.
No, because a lime is different from a lemon. It smells completely.
Don't fucking argue with me, son. If I say
and lemon are different things, whereas a green lemon
they're
is
fucking
just a lemon
not.
that hasn't ripened yet. Surely, I don't know.
Don't even think about it, mate. Don't even think about it.
This is it's the last of the season. What are you going to do? Ban me from the rest of the season?
Yep. Yeah, you're banned. You're hereby banned from the rest of the season. I don't know. Green lemons are limes. Prove me wrong.
Okay.
Actually, I know. The internet will probably prove me wrong.
Can I just talk about the fucking perfume?
Nope. Yes.
Nope.
Why not? Go on. Yeah. Talk about perfume.
Terry Vassar 2014, and it's lovely. It's really, really bright and slightly green. It's incredibly refreshing, lime, sherbety opening. It's just so good. So good. It lasts the length of a gnat's sneeze.
Remind me what that one's called, because our listeners kick off about it, and I'm even at a loss as to what it's called. Because Dan's like going
Limon Verde.
And limes being the same thing or some shit. So,
what they are?
I'm going to.
Sorry for this.
I think it's okay. Let's just say
it sounds green
Limon Verde. Oh God, I'm going to say it again. Limon Verde. There we go. Anyway,
by who? Sorry,
Guerlain.
Oh, by
Aqua
Guerlain.
Allegoria.
Oh, it's an Allegoria. Oh, yeah. I know it. Oh, it's nice, that.
It's really nice. So nice.
It's nice, that, yeah.
And I've worn it a couple, because it's been really hot the last couple of days, and I've worn it both in the mornings and in the evenings, and it just feels like a proper refreshing cologne. Feels like a long, cool drink of lemonade, that kind of fizziness of it. It's the partial I got in the bundle, it was so low, it's like 15ml. I probably won't repurchase it when it's all gone, but I will definitely be using it up this summer. Really nice.
So fragrances that don't last very long have a place, right? And
yes.
I bought this like last month, which is a 300ml bottle of yeah, I know. It's by a brand called Granado from Rio de Janeiro, and this is Figo, as in fig, cologne, and it's very weak, but it's very clean and green and lovely, and this is now my gym go-to fragrance. So you can literally spray like 40 sprays of this. and you will just smell sort of clean and green
Lovely.
for not a particularly long time, which makes it ideal for going to the gym, smelling, not fucking sweaty and minging, coming out, showering, and wearing something like stronger.
Yeah.
But so I'm actually getting through that at a surprising rate. 300 ml you'd think is a lot of perfume, but when you sort of spray 40 odd sprays every morning before going to the gym, you get through it.
So I'm quite
It's only 50 quid or something for 300 ml.
It's not bad, is it? I quite like that, especially on hot days in the summer, spraying something on to kind of wake me up and make me feel fresh. And then, but not wanting through the heat of the day to smell of very much at all, because I can find it quite sickly. But then be able to spray something else on in the evening. I like, as you say, there is a place for something not being beast mode and lasting 12 hours. Hugely. There really, really is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right. What else, Fliss?
I think that might be about it, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of anything else that's worth me chatting about right now.
No. Okay. That's also fine. We've been blathering on for ages. I think
We have.
probably...
Hour and a half already.
That's fucking mad, isn't it? Although any
Only
listener
about
will be able to
20% of
work
it's
out...
actually about perfume.
Yeah, but any listener will be able to work out how much got lost in the edit by sort of going, hour and a half? Hang on, this is only about 18 minutes long. They must have chucked loads out. Yeah, that was all the nonsense. We kept all the good stuff for you, dear listener. Right, fine, let's wrap up part one. I suggest we all go and get some sort of drink, although I may stop drinking because I'm getting progressively less coherent. We will be back in just a couple of minutes with part two of Les Oderants. Stick with us.
Yay!
Hello and welcome back to part two of Les Oderants for the last time this season. This week we are talking about the unsellables. What are, not that you, like, literally they can't be sold because no cunt will buy, although maybe that is a good reason not to sell something. Yeah, James is nodding. Yeah, I got a few of them. No cunts buy this. Yeah, what are the unsellables in your perfume collection? And I think there's lots of reasons things might not be sellable. Nostalgia reasons, value reasons. I don't know. Let's explore the reasons. James, why don't you kick us off with your first unsellable? What is something that you will never sell from your collection?
I was actually going to be really miserable or try and be all contrarian and weird and go, actually, there's nothing that I wouldn't sell because, I've let go of FOMO. And is that what it's called, FOMO? Yeah. Fear of missing out. So I actually, to some extent, that is true, that there's not much that I wouldn't sell. If someone turned around, like, for example, you, probably not the best time, but if you turn around and went, oh, will you sell me a Bois Noir? I'd be like, yeah, motherfucker, how much are you going to give me for it? So, no, but there's pretty much nothing. Okay, so then I was thinking through, not going to, jizz me load. I don't know what. You know what I mean.
You can't say that.
Right, okay. All right, let's start again. I'm not going to, I don't know what to say.
You can say shoot your load, it's fine.
Keep the wolf from the door. I don't know. No.
Did you just tell him it's okay to say shoot your load?
Yes.
This is a family show.
Shoot your load. It's no problem.
You just said the word cunt about 5 times in the first 5 seconds of the recording. I don't think it is. You did.
Who did? Did I?
Yes.
Oh, do you know what? That's a fair point, right? I've listened back to some of the episodes, and it turns out I swear quite a lot. I wasn't actually aware.
3 seasons. It's taken him 3 seasons to notice.
I didn't realise that I swear so much. It's all rather vulgar. I'm quite disappointed with myself.
Oh,
so,
no.
Sorry, James.
Oh, so I was maybe going to... I'll build up to this at the end. Okay. So first one, I would probably say, and it's quite boring because everyone knows that I really love it. I barely ever wear it, which is ridiculous. But I do have I have a couple actually of old 90s Fahrenheits, which I just love. And I don't think I'll be parting with them just because it's become more scarce and I'd be collecting more of them, if anything. And not that some of the other versions are not bad, you know, some of the other stuff, apparently that some of the new versions are good. And I have tried some of them along the way and gone, yeah, they're okay and whatever. But I think just the old ones for nostalgia purposes. So yeah, that's a pretty straightforward one. Dior, or Christian Dior, as it is. Fahrenheit, just regular, you know, EDT, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I've got one of those. I mean, I think probably as usual we should quibble with the title of the section. I mean, there is not a single perfume that I own that you know would not be for sale at some sort of price, but it would have to be a hell of a price, kind of thing. And I think so. For me, as an example. My Balenciaga Pour Homme would not be for sale. I've had loads of people ask to buy that from me, and it's just a kind of no way, no fucking way. It's fantastic. It's brilliant. It would be really hard to get another bottle of a sensible price as well.
Yeah, because Rich Mitch
which is why people ask me for.
Have you seen he could bath in that stuff?
Yeah, he probably does. Yeah, no, I don't know how many he's got. It's wild to even think about.
I'm not exaggerating here. He might have 30 bottles.
No way. Really?
20.
That is nuts.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Well, I mean, I think it's a brilliant perfume. Getting hold of another one would be difficult, although I guess I could sort of go up to Rich Mitch, sort of beg him to sell me some. Although if he's got 20, if he's got 20, he's never going to fucking sell them. It's clearly some sort of psychotic episode going on there. But you know, obviously, if someone sort of showed up and said, "I will give you £2,000 for that bottle of perfume," I'll probably go, "Yeah, of course, have that," because it's not worth £2,000, but it is on my, you know, unsellable list, as indeed is my bottom mandate, but that's unsellable because I think nobody would want to give me any money for it.
There's definitely, I think there's definitely a section of unsellable because it's too cheap to bother.
Yeah.
And I just
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't make a list about it, but it's just like some of it's just there's no point because you wouldn't get any money for it.
The postage would be more expensive. It would have to be sold at like a car boot sale or something.
I think maybe you could maybe do a collab. We should do a collab with Monica Keogh and send her. I don't know.
Honestly, I thought her name. Yeah, Cock.
Monica
I thought it was Cock.
But no, she's. You could just send her a box of stuff, and she could be like, "Oh, 100 perfumes for men who like." I don't know. Just complete that yourself.
Just there you go. You can have that one for free, love. I've given you an idea there. Yeah. Okay. Good. Ben, what are you not selling?
So it's basically everything for me because I mean I am going to narrow it down and play the game, but just to get it out of the way, like I'm the opposite.
You don't sell.
Of you, like whereas you have to sell, otherwise you start getting anxiety. I get anxiety at the idea of selling. I'm like, no, they're all mine. They're my preciouses. I hate it. I don't ever smell it. I don't even know what it is. I've forgotten I own it. But if I have to sell it, oh my God, I'll start sweating.
Yeah.
But no, to play the actual game, there's the obvious ones like Au Noir, obviously. Like, but I'm not going to talk about that because everyone knows I don't ever sell that.
I tried Au Noir again in Selfridges the other day, and it's still fucking revolting.
There you go. Was that's that. But I'd just chuck that because that's a bit boring. I've spoken about that loads of times. This one I wouldn't sell is Lolita Lempicka Eau Masculine, and it's the Eau de Parfum Intense version, right? And fuck me, this is like rare as rocking horse shit. It's just not available anymore. Even on eBay, you just can't get this one. You'll get loads of the Eau Masculine, but not the EDP Intense.
Right.
It's just you just never find it again. And it's essentially like just a really strong black licorice scent, and that's about it. It's got a kind of cologne-y, kind of aftershave-y kind of vibe to it underneath, but really it's just a black licorice, and it's great. I don't wear it loads, but it is a really nice sort of cooling, summery kind of really, really unique perfume. But yeah, I just wouldn't sell it because I just don't think I'll ever find it again. It's just one of them ones where probably it's just not good enough to be found again. You know, like there's elements of it that make it rare because it's great, but also I think it's probably just not super. You know, it's not one of them ones that's hyped or anything. There's probably loads of bottles in a landfill somewhere, but it's great. I think it's an excellent perfume. It did get some hype because I remember when I bought it. I think I bought it back in the day based on like the YouTube hype or something. And it did get some hype for a while, but then now it's just gone. But yeah, so that I'd chuck that. I don't know if has anyone smelt it. It's
No, I've got the original one somewhere. Someone gave me a bottle. And it's pleasant, but I've never tried that one.
I shall send it to you because I'd be interested to know how different it is to the original. Because this one is supposedly like the Grail version, but I don't know because I've not smelt the original. Yeah, so that's one that I thought would be interesting to put on the list just because it's different. I've not talked about it before, but I definitely wouldn't sell it. So just because if I ever got that urge to wear it again, which I'm not sure I would, because also there is a L'Artisan Parfumeur fragrance that smells a bit like it, the wolf one,
Merchant Loop,
yeah, that's actually very similar.
Okay.
And so yeah, but it's still I just wouldn't sell it because I wouldn't be able to buy it again. So yeah, that's my one.
I think that the not being able to buy it again is a pretty strong reason.
A really strong reason, I think. Yeah.
Well, you were saying it's as if like price was a sort of driving force, because I think you, Dan, said before, name your price sort of thing and I'll sell anything. But the truth of the matter is, if something's really rare, or if you did want to replace it, even if someone said, I'll give you some over the odds amount of money for it, you may have to wait around until that becomes not an over the odds amount of money for it, and it's actually worth that what somebody paid for it. Do you know what I mean? Because you have to wait so long for, or you might not even get another opportunity for one.
So I tell you what, I struggle a little bit with this stuff because I guess financially I'm not loaded or anything, right? But like I don't worry about money a great deal, and so it's hard for me to sort of conceive of a situation where I would have to, for example, sell perfume in order to be able to feed my family, right? It's not a scenario that I'm really envisaging at the moment, but I expect if we got to that stage, if I'm out of work for that long, which I suppose is possible, then at that point anything is for sale, right? I'll get very unsentimental very, very quickly if my children's being able to eat depends on it. So I feel like a bit of a dick sort of guy, I'd never sell this under any circumstances. You can always contrive a scenario where you would have to sell everything.
So I would definitely sell my arse before I started selling my things.
Well, we knew that.
Probably honest, a long way before.
I think, Ben, there's some sort of rumour that you would start selling it really just for shits and gigs.
Yeah, I mean, for like a half
you need the money.
It's fine.
So, anyway, so I guess I don't want to sort of trivialise a kind of anyone's financial situation or anything, because it's not like, when I say there's no amount of money or whatever, it's obviously a stupid fucking thing to say. If it comes down to it and you need to feed your family, and it's like that, sell your fucking vintage Derby or the kids fucking starve, then it's a no-brainer, right? But I wouldn't sell the Derby. There's a lot
I was going to say, not having kids, I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, it is a no-brainer. Yeah, kids starve.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's a lot of things would have to be sold before we got there. But I've got a perfume that I can't sell because I don't think anyone would believe me, which is a slightly unusual situation. Where basically I have a 2015 bottle of Aventus that I've refilled with a 2011 Aventus decant. So actually, I would have to say to anyone buying it, yeah, I know the bottle says 2015, but the contents are in fact 2011. Because normally it'd be the other way around. Where, it says 2015 on it, but I just refilled it with some piss last week. Actually, no, this is refilled with like fucking original 11Z01 or whatever the fuck it is. So I don't think that could ever be sold. At least not for the fucking value it should.
Are you joking? Some bloody Aventus wanker will absolutely love that.
Yeah, but I don't know that anybody would believe me. I mean, there's only, well, maybe they would. There's a few, I suppose, people who know and would believe me because they know the sources of the original bottle and the decant and everything else.
Platform and all that stuff that they could look at and go, yeah. I mean, not just because of that, but like, yeah, it's better than just some day. Do you know what I mean? You've actually got a kind of, they might look at it and go, yeah, I mean, he's got an extensive collection shit. Why would he lie about this shit? You know what I mean? It's like, I just take it, do a bit of due diligence and they can go, yeah, it's probably true.
This probably true. Well, I think I would struggle to sell it for what it's worth, but also because all the Facebook groups have no non-profit kind of sale thing, then I would have to sell it for about 90 quid. Like realistically, it's probably worth about £1,000 on the fucking secondary markets now.
I think the core of what you were saying before about it's not about a flex about your disposable income or whatever. It's just a sensible thing that you have a hobby that some people might construe as being out of hand or you've got excessive or whatever, but if it's not to the point where you even have to think about it in terms of your finances or whatever, I don't. I mean, sometimes I look at it and go, fucking hell, I've got a lot of perfume there, but it never really impacts on my life. And I never envisage a scenario where I would have to sell them, like you say. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that just reflects on actually it's quite sensible and you've got a bit of perspective on it. Do you know what I mean? I don't think there's anything wrong with that, just to clarify my position on what you were thinking.
Yeah. And it's certainly not a flex about money because I don't have like a lot of money. It's just that I don't worry about my kids not having a bed or food and that's an okay position to be in. And so, I am probably about to lose my day job. And it's not the end of the world. But it may come to the point where I do have to sell large chunks of my perfume collection. But it's very unlikely we'd get to the situation where I'd have to sell all of it. But if I do need to, I will.
And it might be a good thing. Do you know what I mean? It might be good to have a bit of a spring clean and
give me a bit more. Give me a bit more storage space. That's for sure.
To buy more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, to buy more. Yeah.
You get a new job,
exactly. Reset, re-engage.
Piss it all
Fliss.
on the wall on perfume.
Yeah, exactly. Fliss, what are you not selling? What's unsellable?
I was listening to your conversation with quite a lot of mixed emotions, actually, because when I was going through chemo and immunotherapy, because I am the breadwinner of the family, I had to downsize my collection by 2/3. So I've kind of already done this exercise, and the things that I thought I couldn't sell because they were the rarest or whatever were the first things to go, because that's where the money was.
That's why, yeah, those are the big ticket items, right?
Yeah. And so,
do you know? I'll let you finish, but I do agree profoundly with you on that, because I've already marked up some of mine in theory.
And there's very few that I miss. Well, this is the interesting thing, is there's actually very few that I miss or regret, because the ones that I thought were unsellable was usually because they were very rare or discontinued, or I had a particularly beautiful presentation of them or whatever. But because they were so rare and discontinued and beautiful, I never wore them because they were special and precious. And I haven't missed them. And that's, I think, the thing that surprises me most is that I thought I would be bereft, and I'm not. I'm absolutely fine. If I suddenly came into a whole shed ton of money, there were things that I probably would buy back, but probably not even bother, because I've done without them for so long that what's the point of getting them back now? I wasn't wearing them then. Had you not
gone through that experience and that necessity for having to get rid of them in the first place, you wouldn't have ever known that. I'm not exactly saying you feel like liberated from it, but
I do though. I feel so much liberated.
Right.
I used to be really, really anxious about selling things and about my collection being very precious and like very sort of, my precious all over it. And the moment it became obvious that there was a whole load of stuff in the house that we were going to have to sell or just find different ways of getting by, because as a self-employed breadwinner, the sick pay for self-employed is awful. Once that decision was made, it was so easy just to do it, as you rightly say, Dan, just because got two kids, and at the time it was two kids under 4 or 5. Doing it has liberated me, because now I don't worry about having to sell stuff. And I almost think of it as like, what's worse that can happen is that I have to sell my entire collection. And my no sells now, actually, although I have written a list of the things that are too rare that I wouldn't want to sell, my no sells now are, if I had to sell everything and I made a decision only to keep 10 or 12, what 10 or 12 would I keep? As opposed keep because they make a coherent collection for me, as opposed to not selling them because they're too rare to ever get back to me. And the ones I'm not selling are all ones pretty much that are on the market that I could buy back. But if I had to sell everything else, I'd want to keep my 12 things that would make a coherent collection that I would wear most.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. I know what you mean about the big ticket items first. So, I've got a bottle of Wydian 71, like the first edition, and there was only like, I don't know, whatever it is, 300 or 900 of them made, and it's more or less full, and I think I paid like about £500 for it. I've worn it a couple of times, but I don't love it. I'm more in love with the idea of having it, which is a stupid thing. And if faced with the reality of, get the weekly groceries or sell this Wydian, I'm afraid, kids, it's baked beans again. It would be one of the first to go, right? Because you just go, well, look, there's fucking £500. That's a month's worth of groceries taken care of. Bosh, done, right? I've got some marked up in that way, but I also sort of ended up in a similar kind of thing about, well, what are the things I'd keep? And so one of the ones that I would keep, weirdly, is Bodicea Amber Sapphire. Only because I think it's so fucking exceptional and lovely. And I've actually got 2 bottles of it, and I got them at a ridiculously discounted price. I think the retail price is absurd, like £800-900 or something stupid and wholly unjustifiable. But I think I paid about 150 quid each for these 2 bottles, and I absolutely love that perfume. And it would be part of any 10 or 12 bottle collection that I ever had. So for me, it's an unsellable one. There's so many other things I would sell before I got to that, even though I've got 2 bottles of it. So yeah, I'm totally on the same page.
Do you know what I did discover though?
As you.
Of the things that I would keep, as well as the 10 or 12 that I really love, I realised that despite saying that I'm not about the bottles, I'm a little bit about the bottles.
A little bit.
So my OG bottle of Panther by Cartier with the crystal and the 2
lovely
panthers up the side, I would find that very hard to sell. Not because I wear the perfume that much, because I actually prefer 24 Faubourg to it, and they're so similar. But that bottle, I would as an objet. I would
objet d'art.
Yes, yeah. I would find that very hard to let go of. And I've also got which is the one that comes in the skull, the Killian Black Phantom.
Black Phantom.
I've got a Black Phantom, but in the skull box. I won it in a raffle.
I can't see you liking Black Phantom at all.
I don't like it, but I love the skull box.
It's the Memento Mori box.
Love it. And I that as an objet, I find very hard to ever get rid of. And I should get rid of it because I don't like the smell. I should just swap it for another Killian and put a Killian I do like in there.
So thought experiment for you, Fliss. Fast forward to a world where you own a bottle of the Henri Jacques Tuberose perfume, whose name I've forgotten.
Dentelle au Coeur.
Dentelle au Coeur. You've got a bottle of Dentelle au Coeur, but you haven't quite got enough money to get through the next month. Do you start making drastic economies, or do you sell the Dentelle au Coeur? I love the fact that this is an actually tough question for you, and you look like you're thinking deeply. I mean, that's
how drastic are the economies?
I don't know. You don't have to actually sell your body or anything.
In a nuclear, wasteland, clinging to your bottle of vintage Derby.
But sometimes though I think about that though, and I think to myself that those are the times
when you need that shit,
when you want that absolutely one gorgeous thing to remind you of the good times, and so.
God.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
it's actually really
I think I would probably
though.
sell a lot of other perfumes first and keep the Dentelle.
Even though the Dentelle would realise you probably 700-800 quid or whatever it is in one fucking fell swoop.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to have it as a thought game, because actually I did. It wasn't quite Dentelle, but there was a thing that I sold. I don't want to talk about it because the person who bought it is a friend of the show, and they know, and we know, and we love each other for it. But I thought I would never sell, ever, ever, ever. And it was easy. It was easy.
Yeah.
So maybe I would sell the Dentelle.
Well, so one of the things I think is that it's the hypothetical is always more tricky than the reality, right? And so, if faced with that actual situation, then probably it'd just be a no-brainer, right? Yeah, sell the fucking perfume, feed the family, job done, right? But in this idea of having the thing and owning it is almost more important than the actual ownership. Does that make sort of sense? So I'm sort of in love with the idea of owning Roger Chypre Extraordinaire, which I own. It's a really good perfume. It's not the best perfume in the world. It's really fucking good. But I'm sort of more in love with the idea of owning the little shiny trinket with the purple cap and like everything. I'm more in love with that than the actual fragrance itself. And
if the fragrance wasn't in that bottle, if the fragrance was just in a stock bottle,
if the fragrance came in a bottle like that, for example, like a plastic fucking bottle with "Scandal Pour On" written on the side, right?
Yeah.
Which indeed that does. Right. Is it as exciting?
Is it?
No, it is not. Anyway,
no,
Ben,
it's not.
you've been awful quiet. Sorry, Fliss, and that's why.
I was about to say that's why very low partials are more exciting than decants.
True. Yes, absolutely true. Ideally, in dark bottles where you can't see the level as well. I like that. It's a black bottle, you say, and it's got 3 ml left in. Yes, I'll take that.
I'll take that. I'll take that for
Go on, Ben. You've been awful quiet.
I was it's getting a lot deeper than I sort of expected. Because I sort of joke I wouldn't ever sell anything, but I've been in positions where, in fact, until not that long ago, I was in a position where I was fucking, nothing. I was, I had a house over my head, but that was it, and I was in debt for that, to have that house. I was renting, I was getting in debt to rent, and so now when I buy stuff, a lot of the times I don't buy it as investments as such, but I always have one eye on its resale value. And so I like recently I spent the last couple of years buying a hi-fi, and I spent an obscene amount of money on this hi-fi, but it's because I know that if push comes to shove, I can sell it all for the same price I paid for it, and in that time I can get a lot of enjoyment out of it, but it can go if it needs to. And so everything, like you say, like everything can sell, like if you need to. So I didn't really sort of think that deeply about this. I just more looked at my shelf and went, yeah, I like these. I'm not selling them.
You're not selling any of them.
Because the reality is, that everything, obviously, yeah.
Well, this is why sometimes you pitch the topic, and we all think about it in completely different ways. And then when we actually start discussing it, you're like, okay, there's loads of like avenues and things to this.
Yeah.
I think, which have obviously become apparent through talking about it. But yeah, that thing that you've just said, Ben, about the resale value, I was thinking about that before when Dan was saying something about, like, if you've got that in the back of your head, that's another aspect to it where I don't, like, I would never buy a perfume to flip it. Do you know what I mean? To like make money. Yeah. That just doesn't even occur to me. But by the same rule, if I was reluctant to buy something because it's quite a big investment or whatever, even if it's something that I love, right, and I've always wanted and whatever, when I finally do, the price has got to be right, because then you've got it in the back of your head. If I do need to sell it, or if I'm not that, if it doesn't give me that like dopamine hit or whatever, or that like feeling of like retail therapy or whatever, or you just get bored, or at least you can flip it and get at least your money back, or close to, you know what I mean?
Yeah. This one, so like to sort of throw perfume just because, why not? This one sort of fits in the Ganache Luscious Joe, right? I probably couldn't sell this because it isn't worth anything. It's not even a particularly great perfume. I don't love it. But it was like the first perfume that really got me into like indie perfumery. And so I probably would never sell this because, firstly, I could never get it again, because this is so hard to get, especially in this country, because they were hard to get out from America in the first place. So I could never probably get this again. And it sort of has more of a sentimental value than anything, because, to say, like an actual monetary value, I don't think it's probably worth much. And as I say, as a perfume, it's really not worth that much. But to me, it reminds me of when I first smelled it, and thought, fuck me, this is like different, because it's, it wasn't a designer perfume, but it wasn't a niche perfume either. There was something like unbelievably amateur about it. And I loved that. I was like, fuck, this is like really punk and amateur, and like, it's been mixed up in a bath. Like, but so yeah, for me, it's sort of, I guess it has a sentimentality to it. As there's something important about it in terms of my sort of perfume collecting career. It marks a point there where I started buying a lot of cheap shit that was mixed in baths. Yeah, it's definitely worth celebrating that.
I think just to add to the sentimentality, because I don't know, we've sort of gone a bit more freeform than just going, which one do you want and which one do you like? The main one that didn't really occur to me when I was thinking about this, but are there any perfumes in my collection? Because at the moment, like I'm saying, I probably there's pretty much nothing that I wouldn't sell. Yeah, I mentioned the Fahrenheit, but again, if the price was right or I really needed to, but there's very few other things that I probably wouldn't get rid of, because I embrace the fact that I can get new things. The only one, and the daft thing is, I've had other perfumes that did belong to my dad, like actual ones that I've used up. So I wasn't too fucking sentimental about those, was I? But I've only got one left, and I don't really use it very often. It's what the fuck is it called? I can't even remember. It's an Italian one. Fendi. It's Fendi Pour Homme.
Oh, nice.
So a kind of 90s, 2000s sort of leathery kind of thing. But it was actually the bottle that he belonged to him and was in his stuff that I got, when he died and that. So that's one that I wouldn't sell, just because, it's that physical thing. It doesn't necessarily mean anything really, but it kind of, it's the most sentimental that I am about any bottle, because I think it's got a bit of a history, whereas most of them are just, meaningless sort of objects.
Meaningless objects. What a romantic way to think about perfume. Meaningless objects.
We're breaking it down to things that really matter. I'm talking about the, feeding your kids.
Of course.
You know what I mean? So when you break it all down, it's it is just a bottle of fucking smelly water, as people say.
Yeah,
fucking hate that.
Exactly.
But the truth of the matter is, that is what it is.
Smelly alcohol.
Yeah, and the truth of the matter is, the part of this is because I have faith in the industry, and just those perfumes that I tried this past 3 weeks since we last done a podcast, they were all really good. They all had something that I was like, yeah, if I was in the market to buy some weird niche perfume, I might buy some of those. So yeah, I guess there's hope. Is what I'm saying. Don't cling to things unnecessarily, let them go. And like I say, you can feel sort of liberated by that. Except if it was your dead dad's. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I've got a slightly odd alternative angle on this one. I have a bottle of perfume that I wouldn't sell, because when I sell it, I would have to realise the loss on it. Whilst I still own the perfume, I can go, it's all right, I've got that, that's how much it costs. But when I sell it, I have to face into the fact that I overpaid for it. And it is a bottle of Armani. It's the Armani Pour Homme range, but it's basically the Oud one with the golden cap, which I paid like 180 quid for or something. But probably if I sold it, I would get about 90 quid for it. And so I'm pissed off about that. And I won't sell it because, what's his name in The Wolf of Wall Street? It's a wazi, it's a woozy, it's never landed. The minute it's landed, I have to take that fucking £90 hit on it. But at the moment, I can pretend I don't need to. So
that is a brilliant scene with Matthew McConaughey.
That's him, McConaughey. Yeah. Was always apparently overlooked for roles because he was too handsome. But he is a fantastic guy.
I can relate.
I know we sometimes talk about film and stuff here, but have you seen him in Dallas Buyers Club?
Yes.
That is a fucking movie and a half, and he is brilliant in that. I mean, what a fucking class act. Anyway, Matthew McConaughey is my bottle of whatever the fuck it was.
Sounds like you got a bit sweet on McConaughey.
Well, I mean, he's a very handsome guy.
He is a very.
You'd have to fight me for him. I'm sorry. If he was guesting on Lizzodes.
I'll be honest. I'm not fighting Fliss. I've seen her throw down. I will not get in the fucking way of that.
Well, I put up on Instagram a while ago. Did you not see that? It was at Oscars. I think it was this year at the Oscars. He presented an Oscar. And he came out and he must have a beard for a role. I said it looks like he's fallen asleep and like with Pritt stick on his face and some fucking pile of pubes. Because it was just horrendous. Like it was the most terrible bad beard. And
it'd be a lot cooler if you did.
Yeah, it's like, dude, if I look like him, there's no way I'd have any facial hair whatsoever. I mean, mine is just to disguise like about 8 chins that are under here. Like, I don't want to have a beard. No one really wants a beard. If you've got an amazing face and like a good chin and stuff, why the fuck would you have a beard? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just bizarre. But anyway, so yeah, he's a good looking guy, but he looked like shit at the Oscars, I have to say.
Hammered ass. Yeah, that's not good. Right. So, what else? What else are you not selling, James? Oh, Fliss, you titted.
Oh no, I was just tutting because I was reading after I'd made my list of the kind of basically the 10 things I'd keep, but the 10 things that I would keep to keep a collection. I did make a list that made me realise that I'm a pretty bottle whore. And that list currently
Pretty bottle whore. PBW.
My OG bottle of Féminité du Bois by Shiseido before it was launched.
The wonky one. The wobbly one.
Wonky mushroom, yeah. Now, I did sell it. I did sell it when I was ill, and I was absolutely gutted to sell it. And a very nice person had got more than one, and when they heard that I'd sold it last year, they sent me this one. So it's not my original bottle anymore. It is a gift, and it is the OG bottle, and I just think, I'm never getting that back. So that would have to stay on my list. Mon Parfum Chéri par Camille by Annick Goutal, because it's so rare. I do have 2 bottles, but I don't think I'd sell either of them. A lot of other stuff would have to go first.
I mean,
it's beautiful. It's the old rib bottle, and it's dark.
Oh,
it's
I do like it
beautiful
ribbed.
plum. It's dark and ribbed. Yeah, and I just I wouldn't be selling those.
Ribbed for your pleasure, sir?
Well, they're ribbed for my pleasure, not your pleasure. You hated it when I sent it to you.
I tried that one. I liked it. I think it was quite girly.
It was very plum patchouli. Old.
Have you ever sold something and actually been really kind of bothered about selling it? Because I get stuff, I get into my head about stuff and go, I can't possibly sell this. But I don't think I've ever actually then sold anything that I've got, oh no, what have I done? I've ruined my life selling that bottle of perfume. I mean, you rationalise it pretty fucking quickly and you just go,
but you always buy.
Oh yeah, I used to have that.
You can buy things back though, can't you?
Yeah,
I mean, Fiero being a case in point.
I mean, on the whole, I have tried to buy and sell things, like Ben said, with a sort of eye on the resale value. And I think I've got a lot better at that as as you get more into it. I mean, and I say into it, I don't mean just perfume, but if you get into buying and selling perfume, because I mean, I think, James, Ben in particular, you guys don't sell a lot of stuff, but I sell a lot. I buy and I sell, and there's a constant churn. And I think as the more you get into the process of buying and selling, the more concerned you are about that resale value, because you don't want to get into something that is going to fuck you later, kind of thing. So I've got quite good at that on the whole. I think I don't tend to lose too much money when I sell things.
The thing is, right, being into perfume is chasing this kind of illusory sort of holy grail that we all know doesn't exist, because a lot of the time you've actually achieved, you've attained that like level of, you've got your vintage Derby, you've got whatever you want, and it doesn't. The chase is not over, is it? Do you know what I mean? It's like it's still going on. Yes, you may have a nice little thing where you can sit in your house and go, "Oh, I've got this," or that collectible or whatever. But it's never over. And if it was over, it would ruin all the fun of it, wouldn't it? So, I think you should always be open to getting rid of things by the same rule.
But there is a bit of a thing about, the chase being, more important than the actual conclusion. And I mentioned that I managed to track down the missing bottle of the Parisians collection. And I thought as soon as I got it, I'd be like, this is amazing. I'm going to put them all together and I'll take pictures and then we'll go out to dinner together. It'll be wonderful. And like all that happened was I just got it and I threw it in the fucking corner in a box. And nice one, yeah. And that's it. That's like, that was actually a bit of a letdown. But the chase was much more interesting. Like every week scouring like secondary markets. Wonder where they have one of these. Yeah. Oh, I heard they have one over here. But
then maybe there is something around then as well then about, I could sell enough of the other stuff I've got to buy a bottle of Dental Eau Coeur. I easily could sell £800 worth of perfume to purchase myself a dental. But I haven't. Why haven't I done that, Fliss? It's the idea of just thinking about having it more exciting than actually having it. Yeah. And is maybe the selling of stuff, the things that even I still now think of as unsellable, like the beautiful Panther Cartier bottle or my OG Féminité de Bois, am I not selling them because if I sell them, then that proves that the chase to get them wasn't worth it? Because if I can sell them and I can throw them away or let someone else have them, then maybe I didn't love them as much as I thought I did. And then maybe I'm a bad collector. I don't know.
You're a terrible collector and a bad person. That's basically how it is. Okay, cool. Right. What else? Where else are we going with this?
I've got a 250ml flacon of Jasmine Rouge by Tom Ford.
Have you considered bathing in it?
Yeah,
That's quite impressive. Is it full?
It's about half full.
Yeah.
I've had it for, it's really years and years and years and years. And I don't understand why it wasn't one of the things that I sold. But I just couldn't bring myself to because it's so big and red and shiny. I don't. Oh God! You're so bad.
Big and red and shiny. Lovely.
But I probably could, But I don't. And I just sort of stroke the knob of it, like my precious. There you go.
God. Yeah, you are an absolute wrong un. So funnily enough, this one, Ben, you'll appreciate this. This one, I chased and chased and chased after having sold it, but now back in the fold. Royal Crown.
If you ever sell that again, sell it to me. Because that is one of my chasers for years since you sent it to me.
I think Uncle Dave has a bottle if you want. If you message him. Yeah.
Because I've chased that since you sent me a decant of it. It's been, I know. In fact, it's probably the top of my list. It's a banger.
It is a
somehow this
perfume.
what we're not going to sell has turned into what we're going to buy next.
I mean, it was a very loose.
Where did you get it from?
He's back into it. He's not letting it drop.
So it was had it on half price sale at Max Aroma in the States, and it turns out that Max Aroma do ship to the UK for like $50. So I thought I'll take a chance on that, and I bought two. I bought one for me and one for Dave, but Dave decided he didn't like it, so I believe Dave's is available if you should contact him. Yeah, I can't think of that many that I wouldn't ever sell under any circumstance, but I think the obvious...
So is that in your you wouldn't sell it again list now?
No, it's not.
Oh, I thought that's what you were chucking it out there for.
No, that's in my probably first to be sold. That's probably
Why did you buy it again then if you didn't?
Because I was making a point about the idea of having it is better than the having it. So I too have spent a long time sort of trying to find a decent price, because obviously you never want to pay retail and stuff. So I've been looking for this for ages and ages and ages, and I finally get it, and I was like, oh yeah, it's all right. I mean, it is all right.
The other two didn't pipe up and go, never pay retail. That's usually the little mantra.
Never ever pay
like, Google gobble.
Never pay retail. Google gobble. Never pay retail. And other associated ASMR noises. I don't know why I brought it up. What was my point? Yeah, my point was that the chasing of it is more important than the having it, because when it arrived I sort of shrugged and went all right. But there's and I know you ever come across those people who've like I don't know, they've been going to the gym for 2 weeks or something, but they talk like before I started going to the gym, I too was, that kind of attitude. And so I feel a bit stupid saying this, given that I've only not bought any perfume for like 2.5 weeks. However, what I did notice a lot, and I've always kind of given into it, is this idea when I see something that I really want, it just needles me in the head. It just keeps fucking going, keeps going, and to the point where I break and I go, all right, I've got to have it, and I'll buy it. But over the last couple of weeks, and it's perhaps because overall my financial situation is changing fairly significantly, what I've sort of been able to do is just kind of shrug and go, if I had money, I'd have bought that. Yeah. And then just sort of let it go. And that's only like a couple of weeks worth of experience, right? So I'm not going to pretend like, hey, I'm like some fucking Zen master of not buying perfume or anything. But it is remarkable how significantly a change in your sort of wider situation can very quickly trigger a change in your specific behaviours. Does that you get what I'm getting at? Like totally. the potential for me being out of work has kind of very quickly focused the mind on you don't need that. It is just literally a bottle of perfume, and you're not going to fucking lose any sleep if you don't buy it. It's fine. Move on. And that's weirdly a bit of a first for me. So.
But even that it's quite freeing, isn't it?
Yeah. It is.
I definitely understand that feeling. There have been times in my life before, and I've just been madly hoovering up just anything. And rather than, if I wanted to try something, I would just blind buy a partial bottle on eBay, as opposed to asking for a decant. And if I didn't like it, I'd just sell it again. Which is a mad way to try perfume.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Now I just don't do that. I haven't done it for a while, and no buying. There's been a couple of things I've really wanted that are supposedly on my want list that have come up on eBay recently, and I've let them go a couple of times and just gone, actually, you can't afford that right now. It doesn't matter. It'll come again. and that not scratching the itch actually makes the itch less itchy.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No, I do know what you mean. But I think I'm reluctant to be overly fucking cocky about it, given that it's only been like 2.5 weeks of not buying stuff for me. But I'm like one of those people who's just quit smoking and is going to tell you all about like fucking how they don't smoke and they haven't smoked for 2.5 weeks and all that kind of thing. Yeah, good. All right. I'm feeling like we're sort of tacking towards the end here. I'm wondering who to pick on for some sort of rappy-uppy thoughts. Ben, I'm picking on you, Ben.
Wow, it's been a bit of a meandering conversation, isn't it? I mean, I think
those are the best ones.
Oh yeah, but I mean, we definitely didn't stick to the unsellables. I mean, I think we definitely all agreed on the idea that the chase is more exciting than actually ownership. I can definitely attest to that, like 100%. I mean, I wanted that for years and hunting it because it was hard to get back then. I remember like sending like emails to Dior pretending I was
I reckon you sent me more in the decant than you've actually used yourself. Of that
I have, yeah. So that's again the thing with the Au Noir and going back to buying things as investments. I don't. They would be shit investments if I was doing that. I don't buy them as investments, but with something like the Au Noir, like that bottle of Au Noir broke. I have a very strict buying rule. Like I'm not going to pay like over a certain amount for a perfume, right? It's just not going to happen. I don't care how good it is because to me, I've got too many. I don't need to spend that money. But Au Noir broke that, and it broke it because when I bought that, it was so rare and it was so hard to get. I was like, fuck it, it's worth it. But because of that, I rarely use it because I'm always. And in fact, that release, that Kajan remake of it, has actually, again, like sort of made me feel free from that because it's like, it's lost a lot of its value now. But that's actually quite nice in a way because I stopped looking at it as like some precious investment.
Yeah.
Or again, not an investment, but every time I spray it, I'm like, oh, that's a pound up the wall. Do you know what I mean? Like whereas now I'm not like that. I'm like, fuck it. It's lost so much of its value.
What's weird about Au Noir is that I remember trying it in the shops and being like, I want that because it was so unique and strange and just, I mean, it still is. And then when I decided, probably several years later, to actually buy it, I went, I'm actually going to go out, and I never do this. I never say to myself, I'm going to go out. I usually just buy stuff, on impulse, which is stupid, that I've just tried in the shop. Or I'll go out going, I'm going to buy Chanel, I'm going to buy Le Leon, I'm going to buy this, and then I don't end up getting it, and then I never end up getting it. Same thing was happening with Au Noir, and I thought, no, go out and get it. And pretty much around that exact time, they were like, oh no, it's gone, it's discontinued now. I was like, what? And then I couldn't get it at all. And then they were like, oh, they've got it in Paris. So
I ain't going to Paris, you cunt.
Yeah, well, I was like, oh, Jenny, do you want a romantic and we'll just pop in Galleries Lafayette or wherever it was. And they had it in there. And I was like, all right, cool. So I just bought it. But it's so weird. It was just a coincidence that, because I don't really, whatever people think, other than Rich Mitch telling me, I don't keep abreast of like what's being discontinued or what's what. I get all my information from Rich, basically. Or bad sources on the internet that are wrong.
I tell you a couple that just to chuck in at the end before we finish, just because I really like them, but they sit in an unusual spot. In again, a bit like the Ganache one, in that I wouldn't sell these because because they're both discontinued, and now to rebuy them costs way more than they're worth. Yeah, I wouldn't rebuy them because they're just not worth what they go for now. But they are really good perfumes. I'm glad I paid for the price that I paid for them, but I wouldn't pay more. And they're both Bulgari, Pour Homme Soir, which is a great perfume, and Aqua Amara, which is a flanker of the Aqua thing. Sort of orangey incense thing. And I've been wearing loads of actually both of these the last couple of weeks, which reminded me of them. But I wouldn't sell them because they go for quite good money now, probably more than they're worth. But if I ever wanted to rebuy them, I would never pay that money for them. And like, I like them enough to not want to part with them, if you know what I mean. So they sit in a sort of unusual space in that I wouldn't sell them just because I'm too cheap to buy them for their price they go for now. But yeah.
I had a really good final thought then, and my head just got completely, hang on. It's neither here nor there. I had some really good points and I've forgotten them now. Can I just talk about something else? And it might, right. So last weekend, I know it was the football and everything.
What's this blue flower? Smells of labdanum. I have no idea how this relates.
Anyway, I had it to do with smell. This isn't to do with any smell at all, but I'm just going to talk about it because it was fucking ace. And so last weekend, it was there was Wimbledon, like men's final. It was the football. So it was a big day of sport and had a really good, day doing stuff. And then went to Liverpool in the afternoon to go to the Beyond Van Gogh exhibition. Has anyone seen this?
Yeah, so years ago, that was in Tokyo, and a friend of mine sent me shitloads of photos of it.
Oh, yeah.
If it's
like
the same
basically
thing.
Immersed. Yeah.
Like loads of like projections
Gogh.
and stuff like that, and like walk through things. And
I nearly cried. I mean, I am an emotional sort of being, but I really got me. I was like, oh my God. And like my son, like, doesn't really have much, I haven't like pushed the art stuff on him, but he doesn't have much of a reception. But they were doing about Van Gogh in school. So he came in and went, he was going on about his bold brush strokes and stuff. And I was just like, oh my God, that's so sweet. And he really wanted to go to it. So I was like, yeah, we'll go and see that. It was amazing. It was amazing. Not only like the little preamble when you walk in was basically about him and his brother and their relationship, and it was a lot of extracts from letters that they'd written to each other, basically saying about, how, because he was quite like a very poor and wasn't really recognised, only just started to get recognised in his lifetime. And the actual end display thing was like really good. You could sit there for like 45 minutes or something until it did its full rounds. And the pictures came on and then they sort of come alive. It was a bit trippy, to be honest. And they'd sort of bleed out onto the floor, and then the sunflowers would be on the floor, like coming towards you. And like, it was amazing. And they played like really nice sort of ambient music and things. So if anybody's, I think it's in Liverpool till the end of the month, I recommend going to see it. Or if it moves somewhere else, go and see it because it's really good.
Oh,
nice. I mean, it's
it's nothing to do with perfume, right? But,
nothing to do with perfume or indeed the subject.
It's
but
art. It's enriching. If you don't like it, fuck off. Don't listen to the podcast. Do you know what I mean?
Get some of it.
We're high brow.
We are all the time.
I went to see a band on Friday night for the first time in fucking age. I went to see Death from Above, 1979. Sebastian Granger and his mate, Canadian sort of noisy duo. He sings and plays drums, and his mate fucking plays bass, and they're just noisy as fuck. Smashed my head in. It was brutal. They're brilliant. It's like about the fifth time I've seen them as well. But yeah, they were playing randomly. Yes, so there's my bit of art and culture for the weekend.
Sorry, what I was going to say about perfume, I'll just try and wrap up.
You remembered?
My bit. No, well, it was more that I think this conversation will like connect with people because it's a very in collection-y. People like talking about they like it when we do this, right? And maybe I'm just predicting people go, oh, this is shite, mate. You're a fucking shill and stuff like that. But they might also go, that was brilliant. I really enjoyed
this is all kind of dog shit.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the thing because it's about things that people can relate to and fundamental things about being into perfume and collecting and all those things that they like to consider in their own heads. So maybe send your unsellables, put them on a postcard and send them to us.
You can
your unsellables.
Email us. You can join our Facebook group, or you can also join our Patreon.
Well done.
And in the break, I think we like in our holiday we should do like an ASMR bonus episode. Like us just standing there like slurping on the mic.
Don't slurping on mics. Please don't do that. Okay, so James, Ben, you've been Fliss. Final thoughts from you?
Not really. I think I've said everything I wanted to say, which is
good.
You can absolutely sell everything. You can keep 10 of the best things you've got. And you can also discover that you're a pretty bottle whore.
A pretty bottle whore. Yeah, I like that. I think that will be your epitaph, won't it?
Wasn't there one of them on the other ones?
Yeah.
Right. On that extremely dodgy fucking note, I hereby draw season 3 to a close. It's been a riot. We will be back in September, where we're going to be that slight bit more disciplined about the number of episodes in a season. There may not be 20. There may be a specified pre-agreed number rather than the current random number, which turned out to be 20. But we'll be back in September. Look, thank you for sticking with us. We know we've been a little bit random with our episodes over the past few months. We've all got shit to do. We promise we will be every bit as shit as this come September, so don't expect too much from us. Have a fantastic summer, and we will be back in a couple of months with the next episode of Les Oderants. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.